And today we welcome our guest, Nancy Kaady. And Nancy comes to us from Lebanon, where she studied nursing. Thanks for joining us here today.
Thanks, Beth. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a delight to have you here. And we're going to talk about what happened after you came from Lebanon to Canada and tried to work as a nurse here. So first I'd like to ask you, what brought you from Lebanon to Canada?
The story of coming to Canada all started when I met my husband. He was there just visiting Lebanon. He's Lebanese but lives in Canada. So he was there to celebrate and participate in his sister's wedding. And we met there through common people. And then before he proposed, he asked me if I would like to live in Canada. And I'm like, why would I live in Canada? He goes, because that's where I live, and if we're going to be together, I would like to want to know how would you feel to immigrate to Canada with me. Excuse me. So I said yes to Canada first before saying yes to the person.
Yes to the country.
Yes to the country, and then to my husband Pascal. And that's how basically I immigrated, because we got married in Lebanon and I had to join him in Canada after a year and a half or more even.
Did you know anything about Canada before you came?
I knew more about Montreal, about where Lebanese people and cousins live, more on the Montreal side, Ottawa, but not much about Alberta. And I used to look up on Google Maps how the apartment looks like and how the roads are, and like everything looked so different,
Yes.
But not much. My husband painted a very beautiful picture about Lethbridge, how it's like very centered around the university, very laid back living. You have time to fit things if you decided, compared to our fast-paced living in the city of Beirut. So I like that.
So then when you came to Lethbridge, did it meet your expectations?
At the beginning, it wasn't easy not to compare, because change was drastic.
Yes.
In my life.
Yes.
I incurred change in so many levels.
Yes.
And the most important one was due to moving geographically. So when I first got to the University Drive where the bus had stopped us, it was a winter day, winter evening in February. Everything was white. I came off the bus and I'm like, where are the people? Where are the buildings? It felt so big, spacious, and yet like not comparable to where I came from. That was hard. But after that, everything, I settled down very nicely. I met some people, and then it made the place like a community.
Yes.
And I enjoyed that so much.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yes.
That's so lovely to hear.
So nice. And looking back, it wasn't that easy, but at the same time, you need one good friend. You don't need too many. We need one good family to be with us. It's just like keeping the comparison on wasn't a healthy thing. So just realizing that and just be happy with what I have had made a lot of difference.
Yes, they say if you want to be happy with what you have.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
So it must be hard being away from your family.
That's a difficult thing, and having met with other immigrants who have been in Canada for 50 years, that's something that evolves with us.
Yes.
Like as I matured and grew away and advanced in the years away from them, it didn't change my missing, but it's not taking away from my enjoyment anymore. Because when I first started in my life in Canada, I always had that huge emptiness. I had
Yes.
friends from church, from my first university degree, second university degree, from ballroom and salsa dancing, and from the neighbors who would just knock and then have an unannounced tea time or coffee time at 7 a.m. with their house robes. I missed all this.
Ah,
I missed all this, but then I had my life. It went on, and the pace changed, and then I discovered different joys.
well, and you have a child now too, and I think that helps to make you settle into the community with the school and
Yes.
the teachers, and then the child's friends.
Yes, that's right. Um, one of my goals was to be a mom, my all-time dreams. And having my son is just the best gift from God. He just makes my life more meaningful.
Ah,
I love him so much, and I'm so happy that we could be in Canada because it provides him with the safety that lacked for me to want to stay in Lebanon and have a family. Nothing would have taken me out of my country had it not been safety. Like there were days when we would leave and we don't know if we're gonna come back because it's so unstable and unsafe. Being like in 2005, I had just started my training or my orientation in the American University of Beirut, and 14 days later happened the big bombing of Beirut, where the prime minister was Hariri was assassinated. I was there, just a street away.
oh my.
It was so devastating, and then it had a tremendous trauma effect on not only me, a generation of people from my country. And since then I thought, you know what, I don't think I can be like my mom, waiting at that door and not knowing if her pieces of heart are gonna come back or no. And then I thought, yeah, maybe wanting to have a family outside the country is a good thing. And that's where I made my checkbox for the husband.
Very sweet, very sweet.
You needed to take me out of the country. It was difficult.
Yes, I can
Very
imagine.
difficult. Yeah.
So, how much of your nursing were you able to complete at the American University in Beirut?
I actually didn't study there. I went to the medical center and I worked there for about 8-9 years in a level 3 NICU, where we had, it was like a referral center for the Middle East.
Oh, you worked there, you didn't study there?
I didn't. I studied in the Lebanese University, Faculty of Public Health, Section 2. I had, the nice thing about the governmental universities in Lebanon, they are subsidized from the government. So I went and did 4 years of university and had a degree that was really very comparable or also like agreed upon with the degree in Quebec, and just for the fee of opening a file every year.
And so what was that degree?
The nursing degree.
So like a
Bachelor of Nursing, of Sciences in Nursing.
BSc in nursing?
Yes.
Yes.
So it was so affordable. I compare it to graduating in Canada from a Bachelor's of Nursing.
Yes.
It's very expensive.
So this was
In 2003, 2004.
and the University of Montreal would accept this
Yes,
degree.
because the first language I studied in was French. So I studied in French. It was like very easy for me to go there. But since my husband is living in Alberta, I had to go through the English tests. That was a big journey that started in 2011. I had so many IELTS testing just to kind of get to the required scores that CARNA, the College of Alberta, needed. It took so long. It's a strategic test. I had to study specifically, and have answers that are so following the rules of the exam, which made my life very hard to manage.
Is that after you were living here in Lethbridge?
I started in 2011 before I came to Lethbridge, because I knew if I'm going to come and start the process from here, why not starting earlier? I started early. So with Karna, I couldn't apply before meeting the requirements.
You couldn't apply for
To have them start looking at my credentials, the transcripts,
Right.
and my years of experience. I couldn't even do anything before that.
So where were you living then?
In Lebanon, still with my parents.
Oh, you were still in Lebanon?
Yes, there is a British council over there. So I would book an IELTS exam through the British Council,
Yes.
and go there, get everything lined up for the exam, and pay the fees. They were so expensive, to about $200 that time, and then study. I even hired a tutor.
A tutor?
Who is also British. So I thought he teaches that, probably that could help. Helped a bit, a fraction of the band score. So I needed like 7 out of 9 on writing. I was always getting 6 or 6.5, and not really knowing what I should do consistently to acquire that. So until I came to Canada, that problem was resolved, because I studied differently. We kind of got into connection with one of the professors in the Lethbridge College.
Yes.
So he kind of agreed on tutoring me and monitoring my work and mentoring me through that. He had a bit of knowledge about the test itself, which helped a lot, and that's when I was able to kind of start applying, because everything else was good until the papers. So that was one of the requirements. The next one was having the university send the papers to the College of the Nurses in Alberta, of registered nurses. That was another hurdle, because there was no emails then.
No.
It wasn't something that's up to date at the time.
You could send fax.
You could send fax, but didn't happen. Something else didn't happen also. Like, they needed very secured mail.
Yes.
And there was no way to communicate with the university. So my brother had to go there, ask one of the clerks over there. They issued the papers, and then went with him to the post office, paid the money
To fax it.
to send it by mail.
Or to send it by mail.
So they went physically
Oh.
to the office, the person who's from the university. That wasn't easy.
Yes, that's very difficult. Now, all of this is to get your certification for your credentials
Yes.
in nursing
Yes.
from Lebanon to
Be sent.
Alberta.
Mm-hmm.
But why didn't you come to Canada anyway? Was that part of the requirements for immigration?
I came to the thing with immigration. There is a time lapse where we got married. My husband came to Canada.
Yes.
Applied for my immigration.
Yes.
I did my application, and then he applied on his end too, and then that takes time.
Oh, and so they required you to be able to speak English?
And that's all for the nursing part.
That was for the nursing part.
So I was doing all that, waiting for my immigration papers.
So while you're waiting for the immigration, you're trying to get your validation of your credentials.
Yes.
And the immigration took that long. How long did it take?
About a year and 1 month to. I have heard from them from September 2011. They got back to me in September 2012, and then I came in 2013. Yeah, it took a bit.
It took
Lots
a
of
while.
papers, and
Yes.
we had to kind of send them the pictures of our wedding, the pictures of the families together, and my husband had to put like notes on the back, explaining what happened, just to
Yes.
prove that I'm not coming because it's a deal or something, and then I'm going to be on my own after 2 years after it's done.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of a nice way to make sure that people will stick together, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a real long test.
It is.
Yes. Okay, so you're going through this whole process to try and get your equivalent to the Bachelor of Science in Nursing from Lebanon accepted in Canada.
Yes.
Then you come to Canada, it's still not complete.
No.
So you come to Canada, and then what happens?
I come to Canada.
And where do you come? You come here? Or?
I came to Lethbridge right away.
Here, right here.
So one of the requirements was the English test. I thought I started from Lebanon. Didn't overcome it. So in Canada, I have to get through that. And I did that with the help of the professor here.
Yes.
And then the next part would be the credentials evaluation. So the credential had to come from Lebanon straight away to Karna. And another thing, they are in French. We need to translate them in English. So we had to communicate with an Arabic English translator who knows French too, to translate them from whatever is in Arabic to English, the ones in French to English, because they wanted also my high school degree.
Oh.
So the high school was in Arabic, wasn't in French, because
Yes.
the Lebanese language, the official one, is Arabic. So that one as well. And then these had also to go to ICAS, which is the international qualification something that they needed to look at them and see what they are equivalent to in Canada. So both my degrees were equivalent to a BS.
Yes.
In nursing. My second degree was equivalent to a graduate diploma, which was nice. And then I had...
So they gave you that?
Yeah, they gave me that, and then they sent the papers to Canada. But that took a while. It's easier said than what the actual journey was, because getting into the English and achieving the score took a year of work. And then
yes,
during that time, I was doing another job. So I had to arrange between being the wife, and also studying for the English and going to the job and dealing with whatever comes during my day. It was kind of a very big change for me. And once the English was done, all the papers were over, I had to also submit papers that prove the hours of practice, which I had lots of those.
Yes, you said almost 9 years.
I know, they were so enough. And the other thing that came, the papers came back from Karna saying you have 2 options, Miss Kaady. I'm like, okay, I read through those. The first option would be if I wanted to go to the Bridge to Canadian Nursing. That's a program offered in Mount Royal University in Canada, in Alberta, Canada, or if I prefer to go and book an exam called SEC, substantially equivalent degree or exam, and that means I'm going to have to go to Langley, BC, sit for an exam for 2 days. The first day would be 7 hours of answering multiple questions on a computer. And then the next day would be sitting in front of an examiner for a part of the time and like answering case questions. And the second part of it, seeing real actors doing the patient, and then me communicating with them. So it is good to note.
Oh, that's very, very complex, isn't that? Very complete.
And I had to travel by myself, and then it was my first time traveling inside Canada.
And you had to pay for that yourself?
I had to pay for the travel part, the staying in the hotel. I had to pay for the exam itself. It's not cheap at all. I can't even remember. In the thousands, not like 500, 600, nothing.
Right.
It's more expensive. And then go there. It is good to note that all this is happening not to torture me.
It's good to take that viewpoint, that it's not to torture you.
It wasn't to torture me, because by the end of the day, for nurses who come from a different culture, from different places,
Yeah.
it's important. So studying through these exams and through these courses are very for the exam. I stayed 6 months to study for that exam that I opt for.
Yes.
I thought 10 courses at the Bridge to Canadian Nursing, I will be told anyways if I fail or don't do well in the exam, I will be redirected to that.
So that was
Bridge
an
to Canadian.
option
Yes.
to take 10 courses
And then not sit for the exam.
and not sit for the exam. And
Or-
where would you take those 10 courses?
At the Mount Royal University.
And
So,
you would
yeah.
have to go there.
I would have to go and live in Calgary, which is not feasible either. So I opted for the exam. I went to Langley, BC, and then had the exam done. The reports came back. I just needed 2 courses. One was skills
Yes.
that I would do over 4 weeks, 1 time per month, and I would study online, submit like a test or an exam or a homework every week.
Yes.
And then the other course was, and I had to be physically there 1 time per week. For 4 times during a month. And then the other one was an actual practicum. And I had that done in Rocky View Hospital. And that was in a different specialty than the NICU work I did before. It was like different, long-term.
And how long did you have to be at Rocky View then?
6 weeks. So I
my
did
goodness.
that.
Yes, first you have to take the 1 day a week and go 1 day a month and go somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got 6 weeks. So it's a lot of travel that you're having to pay for. And the 6 weeks, you had to stay somewhere.
I stayed in the Mount Royal University in the dorms, actually.
Oh, yes.
And it was very difficult because the whole week I had to be there, staying in the dorms like I was, as if I was 17 or
Yes.
20 or whatever.
Yes.
With all like
Young people.
the young people and leaving everything that I had to take care of at home. And my child was like
Yes.
not even 3 years yet. So I don't know how we did it. I'm not sure. It was so stressful thinking back, and just being reintroduced to the system felt so overwhelming.
Yes, to have to go back to school.
Everything was so different and new and differently done, and also very stressed. I didn't want to, I wanted to enjoy it, but at the same time, I didn't want to not do well.
Yes.
That was something. But in the same time, my husband was asked to teach a course in Calgary. That was very helpful. He would bring our child
Yes.
on a Friday. He would stay with me in the evening. After I'm done courses, he would go teach an evening course. And then in the morning, I had a colleague who had a teenage girl who is the age of being a babysitter. So she babysat my child, so me and her mom could go to class and my husband could go teach. I don't know how all that worked, but it worked well.
That was incredible serendipity.
Glory
that
to
he got
God.
that
It was so good. It was so good.
Then you didn't have to miss your child so much.
No, not
And your
really.
husband.
Yeah, it was good. There was a big hurdle I had to be patient for, though, was getting into the courses. So I chose the option, went for the exam, the results came back, you need 2 courses. I thought, whew, big sigh. I started communicating with the Mount Royal University about getting a spot or like a chair in these courses. I was told, you know what, the people or the students who have had 8 courses already done have the priority.
Yes, right.
To get into those 2 courses.
Right, you're low on the list.
You're parachuted to the program. I was the only person who made the decision to go and have the exam done among the classes of nursing. Like the Bridge to Canadian Nurse. I didn't meet someone who went through the same experience.
So the others took the 10 courses?
The whole 10 courses. I was like the only one. You're parachuted to the program. It took another year and 2 months or so to get into the spring courses.
Okay.
That was so long.
So how long were the courses that you had to take?
So 4 weeks for one,
Yes.
and another 6 weeks right after for the second one. So,
Also
10 weeks
10
in
weeks.
total.
Yes.
I stopped working though when I decided that this is the way I'm going with. I'm going to go for the exam. I went on. My friend gave me the Facebook page of nursing students who have they sell and buy used books and stuff.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I went and I bought all the books, used books, for the 4 years. I studied the program,
So
all of it.
then you passed these courses,
Yeah.
and you said it was quite different. Some of the procedures were different.
Mm-hmm.
So then did you get a job and did you start working?
I started working, I graduated in June, started
Yes.
working in August. It was difficult for me to get a job at the beginning because I don't have, like, not even any sort of healthcare experience.
Right.
But then I decided, I prayed so hard. Lots of prayers have gone into this journey,
Yes.
so much. And then I went and I asked for the manager of the NICU over here in Lethbridge. And at that time, they were into transitioning into a new manager. The educator was on vacation, the assistant head nurse was on vacation that day. So the clerk, the unit clerk, told me, you just go to this name. She gave me the name and I went down. It was the director of the women's program. And then I went there and I said, I was sent to you. I need a job. She looked at my resume and she said, we don't do this much in our NICU, but I can offer you an interview and we go from there. And that's what happened. I was invited for an interview, and then based on that, I was offered a casual job in this NICU, which was amazing.
That's fabulous. So finally, after all this,
Mm-hmm.
So how many years was that after you started this? Because you started everything in 2011?
Yes,
So-
2017 was,
Oh, 2017.
how many?
6 years.
6 years.
6 years. And how long have you been working now?
2017 till now, so 7 years.
7 years. And what have you noticed? We're almost out of time, but what have you noticed in terms of the time you've spent in the system in terms of changes?
The changes are happening. We just are getting into more taking the patients into consideration in terms of giving them a say more like than before, because before
Oh, yeah.
we would say this is what we think is good for you, and then not much of discussion and then informing them more. I
So
feel
that's
like
happened in
part.
7 years, that there's more change, more, you find in 7 or 8 years that there's more responsibility for the patients rather than for the nurses?
They are more now, in terms of how to say it, they are brought into
The consultation.
more like, I can't find my words. I'm trying.
The decision making.
The decision making, but in the same time, bringing that want from them to become better.
Oh,
Like
so the
making
motivation.
the motivation,
comes
and
from them.
also it has to be a work that they want to do, because if they don't want to do the work, even if we teach or direct them into healthy stuff, it's not going to happen.
Well, that's wonderful. You know, we've quickly gone through our half
Yeah.
hour and we've touched on what happened, and it's very lovely to hear that you've seen a change for the good in the system, because we hear quite a bit about how there's fewer healthcare workers and it makes people stressed.
Mm-hmm. I just want to say to all the nurses who are coming from a different country, just be patient and do your best. And Canada is the land of opportunities, and the people in Canada are so lovable, and it's going to be a nice exchange. You're an asset and they're an asset for you.
Well, thank you very much, Nancy, and thank you for your positive attitude. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.